Most people think liars look away, they fidget, they sweat, they can't hold eye contact. The problem is, professional liars know that's exactly what you're looking for, so they'll do the opposite. They'll look you directly in the eye, they'll smile, they'll stay perfectly still, and they'll tell you a story that sounds completely believable. In fact, you've probably been lied to this week and never realized it. Not because you're gullible, because you've been trained to look for the wrong signals. The secret to spotting deception was never finding a single tell. It's finding leaked friction. A truthful story is remembered. A false story has to be built, protected, managed, and performed all at the same time. That creates pressure, and pressure almost always leaks somewhere. Truth is remembered. Lies are managed. Today I'm going to show you 3 advanced cues most people never notice when the first happens on the face, the second happens in the body. But the third is the one experienced observers pay the closest attention to. Let's start with the face. The first place friction leaks is the face. Not the obvious expressions, the tiny ones. Real emotion happens incredibly fast, usually before the conscious mind has time to replace it. And when emotion is genuine, it tends to move across the face together. But when someone is trying to manage an emotion, something interesting often happens. Only part of it escapes. One corner of the mouth tightens, one eyebrow lifts, a brief twitch of irritation, a tiny flash of contempt, gone almost before you notice it. The mistake most people make is asking, "So, are you upset?" Don't ask. Observe. Instead, make a simple presumptive statement. "I heard you were the one who originally came up with the idea." Then, watch. Maybe they smile. Maybe they agree. But before they do, one side of the mouth briefly pulls back. A tiny expression appears, then disappears. The performance arrived, but the emotion got there first. That doesn't prove deception. It tells you another emotion entered the conversation before the words did, and that's worth noticing. The second leak isn't movement, it's the sudden absence of movement. Everyone has a natural baseline. Some people constantly move their hands, some lean forward, some shift in their chair, others become animated whenever they're excited. Then, one particular subject appears. Suddenly, everything stops. The hands disappear. The shoulders lock. The body becomes unusually still. Almost like someone pressed pause. Why? Because attention is limited. When someone becomes intensely focused on protecting one version of themselves, everything else becomes less automatic. The body grows quieter, so the performance can stay louder. Stress can create this, fear can create this, embarrassment can create this. That's why you never compare someone to everyone else. You compare them to themselves. The question isn't, did they freeze? The question is this different from who they were 30 seconds ago? That's where the pattern begins. Notice something interesting. None of these cues tell you someone is lying. They tell you something has changed, and that's a huge difference. Most people spend their lives looking for proof. The best observers look for pressure. Pressure changes behavior. Pressure changes rhythm. Pressure changes expression. Once you stop hunting for lies and start watching for friction, you begin seeing conversations very differently. Which brings us to the strongest cue of all. This is the one experienced observers pay the closest attention to. Natural conversation has rhythm. The body and the words usually move together. Sometimes, the body even moves first. You nod while saying yes. You shake your head while saying no. Everything flows naturally. But when someone is carefully managing what they're saying, that rhythm can begin breaking apart. Think of it like watching a badly dubbed movie. The audio arrives. Then the lips catch up a moment later. Once you've noticed the delay, it's impossible to unsee it. Conversations work the same way. Someone says, "I had absolutely nothing to do with that." Then, half a second later, their head finally shakes no. Or they say, "I'm really excited." Then the smile appears afterward. The body is trying to catch up to the words. Not because the body knows the truth, because managing communication requires effort, and effort often changes timing. Here's where people make their biggest mistake. They notice one cue and immediately decide they're lying. That's confirmation bias. One cue means almost nothing. You're looking for clusters, the face changes, the body changes, the timing changes, and all of it happens around the same subject. Now your curiosity should increase, not because you've solved the mystery, because you've found friction. The best observers don't chase certainty, they collect patterns. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. The lie usually isn't the interesting part. The reason behind it is. Most people don't lie because they're evil, they lie because they're protecting something, their reputation, their relationship, their career, their pride, or simply a version of themselves they don't think you'll accept. That's why the goal isn't becoming a human lie detector, it's becoming a student of human congruence. When the words, the face, the body, and the timing all move together, you're seeing the person. When they stop moving together, you're seeing the mask. And if you notice the mask, don't rush to pull it off. Make it safe enough for the person underneath to stop wearing it. That's the difference between catching someone and understanding them. The next time you're talking to someone, don't obsess over eye contact. Don't count how many times they blink. Don't convince yourself one gesture reveals everything. Instead, watch for friction. Watch for moments where the performance and the person stop moving together, because that's where the interesting information usually begins. Tell me in the comments, what's one behavior you've noticed in someone that made you stop and think, something doesn't quite add up? And if you want to know what to do after you've recognized the mask, watch The Subtle Art of Information Extraction Without Asking Questions. Because once you've recognized the friction, the next step isn't confrontation. It's creating a conversation where someone no longer feels the need to perform. I'll see you there.